Hi, everybody. It's Erika of Grapefruit and Gardenia Designs and the Knit Kind podcast. The universe is totally testing me today, and I've pivoted my plans like 3 times, and I was just going to record a podcast for later this month, which I'll tell you about in a second, and the construction, which I thought was just going to be painting at my house today, nice and quiet painting with just a little music. I don't know if you can hear it, but in the last 2 minutes, it turned into banging. So I am going to just record a little snippet, jump into hopefully your inboxes telling you that there's an update from me, show you a couple of things, and then later I might get to record a podcast if the banging stops. So happy September. I am wearing my September garden cowl, which is a design that was part of my free loose sleeve cowl collection. And I designed these in the winter of 2023. You can check them out on my Ravelry site, Erika Field's Ravelry store. My profile is NittyElf40. And you can also hop over to my Instagram, which is at Grapefruit Gardenia, or Gardenia. I don't know. Sometimes I pronounce it differently. And see the code if you don't catch it here. But with code SEPT, all in capitals, no punctuation, in Ravelry, I decided to celebrate the start of September and put the cowl pattern on 40% off for the week ending September 13th. So from now until September 13th, you can grab this pattern. It is a split hem cowl, so it keeps your back nice and warm. I have a really small neck proportionally to the rest of my size, so the top on me is quite large. But for people who don't like the tighter ones, this is why I designed a few different ones in the collection. This one's loose. You can kind of pull it back if you want to show off more of the stitches. You can fold it in. You can fold it down. It's really comfortable. This is done in So Happy Jane pairing, which is actually what inspired the whole design, was the colors. And it looks a lot like one of the gardens around me and how it looks in September. So if you hop over to the pattern page in Ravelry, you'll see some of those pictures on the pages, and you'll see how it looks in September. So if you hop over to the pattern page in Ravelry, you'll see some of those pictures on the pages, and you'll see how the colors, they're just so beautiful. She does a wonderful job with her hand dyeing. So check out her yarn too if you haven't, even if you can't get these exact colors. I know she does have a green in there right now that's very similar, but Malabrigo Rios is a nice option. Many, many hand dyers. You can do this in anything from a DK to a light worsted or even a full worsted. Excuse me, now I have some pollen in my throat. Okay, why did I hop in today other than to tell you about the little sale on the September garden cowl pattern? Well, I want to make sure that if you are interested in following my Farm to Skein designs and you want to get in on a very limited edition kit, you put the following week, in your calendars, because on September 15th, kits for Shorn 5, which is the curated small batch Farm to Skein yarn from Melissa Littlefield of Knitting the Stash, will go on sale. And if you're signed up for her newsletter, then I believe you're going to get a teaser on September 14th, but don't quote me on that one. So sign up for the newsletter. Whenever it does come out, you're going to get the first notification. And also, the pattern will be released on Ravelry, so that folks who either miss out on the limited edition yarn kits, or people who already have something in their stash that they want to use, or somebody who might be local to another farm or a shepherd yourself and wants to knit up these designs in your farm yarn, we would love to have you included in celebrating farm yarn with us and with the launch of these 2 patterns. So I'm going to do a quick change. I might splice the video here. Okay, this one is the Unbroken Circle. It's a cowl that is knit in a tighter gauge. It's a Mobius cowl. I am going to do a whole podcast about that, and that's the one I thought I was going to be recording right now so that it was ready to go for the launch. I will probably air my podcast on KnitKind after Melissa airs hers on Knitting the Stash. She and I recorded an interview in July that we talked about a whole bunch of woolly goodness things, and we also talked about the two designs. So this one, again, it's called Unbroken Circle. There is a whole story behind it that is really to honor farm yarns, and a particular story told by Paula Ahrens on the Junction Fiber Mill cast. And that's all in the pattern too. So I'm going to tell you a lot more about it, but if you just want to get a glimpse of what it looks like, it's a Mobius cowl. It's generously sized. You can also, of course, modify the size by doing fewer repeats across or even making it shorter. Especially if you're working in a different gauge, you can certainly do that. And I'm actually working on one right now that I will show you at some point. And it's got the two different reverse colors. It's got, here is where you shift your colors halfway around, and then it's got a different design. And you can wear it however you want. You can wear all of the light in front, all of the dark in front. I'm going to spin it. See, actually, that looks kind of neat, doesn't it, with the white? And here is what the other part of the join looks like right here. And that's near where you graft. So this is Unbroken Circle. And this is the cowl that will be coming out September 15th with Melissa Littlefield of Knitting the Stash. This is the shawl. And this one is also designed with the Shorn 5 limited edition batch yarn. This is called Shearing Day Shawl. It is a classic triangle shawl with increases at the edge and along the central spine. It, again, it is 3 colors of natural yarn because this is to celebrate, which is obviously why it's called Shearing Day also, to celebrate farm yarns. And I didn't mention that in the cowl, the color work is stranded. So you are doing stranded color work. It's in the round. In the shawl, there is no stranded color work. It's all of the color work you see is mosaic or stranded color work, or slip stitch color work, meaning you're only ever working with one color at a time. And it features a few different patterns and textures, including a very simple cable texture there. And it's celebrating farm yarn. So Shearing Day Shawl, Unbroken Circle. I'm going to tell you a whole lot more about them in a dedicated podcast, but don't miss signing up if you want to get the Shorn 5 limited batch yarn. Get over there between now and a week from now and make sure you're signed up for that newsletter. So happy September, everyone. I hope a few of you will grab the September Garden cowl pattern. Let me know what you think. If you have colors you're going to use that remind you of September gardens in your area, I'd love to see those as well. I also don't want to forget to mention behind me, I have a couple examples of my Rosalind vest, which will finally be coming out this fall. The test knit, many test knitters have already finished. And we gave a nice long period of 8+ weeks so that we could make sure that size inclusivity could be taken into consideration for testing, ordering yarn. The 2 examples I have here are the Brooklyn Tweed Arbor Lodge, which is what the pattern will be published in. It is a beautiful classic yarn with targy wool. And if you know Brooklyn Tweed, you know just how much they really put love and care into the sourcing of their fiber and into the production of their yarn in the United States. And this version here is knit in So Happy Jane's Scrumptious Bulky. This one is a merino, but the reason even though I was really looking for a targy to publish it in because I fell in love with targy during the process of knitting it. I also love hand-dyed yarns, and a lot of times they are hard to find in blends other than merino, although I am also chatting with a few more farm to skein producers where I have found their yarn at fiber festivals, and I think you'll, fingers crossed, that if you go to Vermont Sheep and Wool, you might see a sample of one up there in a local Vermont farm to skein yarn, hand-dyed, non-merino. So anyway, they're all beautiful, and I wanted to show you a couple examples. And so this is So Happy Jane's Scrumptious Bulky. And actually, it kind of all ties together because I'm forgetting that she custom dyed this for me. This green here is the same green that is in September Garden Cowl. And I think she ended up naming it Herb Garden. So here you see it. This was her DK version. I can't remember if this one was superwash or organic. I'd have to go back and look. But it's super beautiful. And this one is superwash because it's her Scrumptious Bulky, and that's the base she uses. But the other reason I used it is because you don't see a lot of hand-dyed 3 or more ply bulky yarns. And she happens to have one that is just gorgeous when she has the Scrumptious Bulky base in stock. And this was another of her club colorways. This was the one that I had in my shoulder season prototype. So anyway, little teasers here. Here we have Knapsack and Klimt, and gorgeous, classic, dark navy with a sort of a burnt gold. And here we have a hand-dyed version. And you can see that, you know, it almost looks like a different piece, but it's even the same size. It's just how colors look to you. So happy September, everybody. I will pop back in soon with a full episode. Knit kindly, live kindly.